From that day, we shared cafe lattes. Ooh, cafe lattes.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of Having a Lovely Chat. Tonight's episode is, I actually never really met the guy properly till tonight. But yeah, his name is Cian Cunningham. And how are you, Cian? You all right, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
If you want to just give a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll flow it down.
I will, of course. So my name is Cian. I'm a online coach and personal trainer. I'm from County Meath originally, so I went to school in Drogheda, so I'm kind of from the area, I suppose. We live in Dunleer at the moment. I suppose background about myself. Obviously, I work in sport and exercise.
I've stalked your Instagram a little bit, so
you did your research. That was good. So yeah, I suppose my kind of fitness journey started off from when I was 10 until 16. I was in competitive swimming, so I used to swim up in Aer Lingus Swim Club up in Dublin, and my parents were just absolute troopers. They used to bring me up all hours of the day. 4 o'clock starts, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Weekends, just non-stop for 6 years straight.
Wow.
So that was my kind of introduction, I suppose, just to sport, exercise, health. We did a little bit of gym when we were swimming, but nothing really serious. It's a little bit of strength and conditioning. Around the ages of 16, I sort of started to fall out of love with it, I suppose. As you get to that age, you sort of start discovering going out,
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
If you want to put it like that, yeah, exactly. You start to notice that the other guys, I was in St. Mary's, the Austin school there, and you start to notice that some of the guys are going out a bit more and they're socializing, and you're thinking, okay, do I want to commit to this going forward? So that was when I kind of stepped away from swimming and I went into a powerlifting gym, which is Boyneside, down by the Keys. Yeah. So got straight into that, absolutely loved it. And you might expect the story kind of goes, okay, did sport and exercise science in college, became a personal trainer. It's all like sunshine and rainbows. Yeah. But when I went to college, I was down in University of Limerick, and there's a big going out scene down there. I think more than any college in Ireland that I've heard of.
It's a good city though, isn't it?
It's great. It's really good for the nightlife. I would almost consider Castletroy and the university is almost like a separate entity to the college or to the city itself.
Right.
You've got the city, which is it's okay, we kind of went in and out of there, but then the university itself has its own nightlife, and that was the most addictive thing, I suppose. So yeah, I kind of did a little bit of gym throughout college. Nothing really where I was excuse me, nothing really where I was really dedicated to it or was sure that I wanted to be an online coach afterwards. And yeah, I suppose in 3rd and 4th year in college, you're sort of saying to yourself, right, next year is getting serious. Let's calm down. Let's kind of start focusing on a career, on our studies. And that never happened. We just started getting more and more ridiculous with our nights out and big sessions and rollover sessions and everything that comes across with it. And I went through a period where I suppose my health and fitness took a major dip. It was not in a good place. So I was smoking, I was drinking a lot. I actually developed asthma when I was down there. That was a combination of living in the really shitty apartments that they had for us down there.
Mold
there was
everywhere.
black mold. Yeah, there was black mold. There was, a lot of going out, that kind of social smoking and stuff and everything else. I've kind of discussed it on my Instagram before. And yeah, my own health and fitness was not in a good place. And I suppose
Do you want to take a drink?
Yeah, I want to take a drink.
Settle down.
I'm getting all choked up.
Huh? That's just going to fall again, John. That's it. Huh? Yeah, hang on. Take it. Yeah, you'll be all right.
Yeah, so I suppose I realized that if I continued going like that, it was just not going to end well. The going out consistently, it just has a major effect to everything else in terms of how it affects your body, your confidence, your health, even your drive. When you're going out and hitting really heavy sessions consistently across the week, it just kills your drive to do anything productive.
Sure,
And I just had a bit of a wake up call in 4th year in college, and I was like, look, I just cannot keep doing this.
Yeah.
At the time I was running a vintage clothing company called Whack Vintage, which my friend still runs to this day.
Right.
And that was kind of like a side project that kept me distracted from college work as well. And I just sort of decided, I was like, okay, I don't really want to go down this route. It was sort of like a hobby, an interest. It wasn't like a passion. but my spare time would be always in like looking at YouTube videos on like lifting and nutrition and just trying to educate myself a bit more. And then I realized, I was like, okay, maybe I should give this online coaching thing a try, because my friend was an online coach. He had worked with an online coach. I had a couple of other people that I met in college who were doing online coaching at the time, sort of at its peak. Like, I think it was sort of around like, 2018, 2019, 2020. That was when it was like everyone's becoming
COVID probably really kicked it off.
100%. And even now, people even realize whether they're in health and fitness or not. They're like, everyone's an online coach these days,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was when I decided to start up a page, and I didn't really have a clue what I was doing at the start, as anyone does. Like, just started posting information. It's just like, okay, show people that I at least know what I'm talking about, which was probably a good strategy to do at the time. Just posting about like nutrition tips, training tips, etc. And yeah, then I finished college. I had my online coaching sort of up and running. It's not like I was working with many clients. I was working in a gym at the time. And my plan was to build the Instagram on the side, and then eventually long-term plan was to do it full-time, which I'm doing now. Now I was back in college, and I was like, okay, why am I still living down here in college in Limerick? I moved back home. I started working in the gym in Integral in Drogheda, and that was where I sort of was working a couple of days a week, building my online coaching business on the side. Started to get clients on the gym floor, started to really discover like that all the textbook stuff is just so different when you're working with someone in person.
Right. In what way? Like,
so say if you're looking at a textbook and you're like, okay, right, you need to give this person X amount of calories in order to induce weight loss or induce muscle growth. You're like, okay, that's one part of the picture. And those are all like rules and like laws of thermodynamics and all this sort of stuff. Like it's literally just physics. But when you realize that when you're implementing that into a person who has a busy lifestyle, who has maybe some previous limiting beliefs about themselves, maybe who has tried and restarted their fitness journey like literally 50, 60 times, and they don't even believe that it's actually going to work. Like that versus a textbook is so different.
Yeah, of course.
It's not, they're not even comparable.
Well, they're not taking all the outside things into
There's so many different things, that you have to factor in, and you have to factor, okay, how is someone doing in their personal life? Are they going through a season of pushing or pulling? Maybe they're focusing on their fitness for a couple of months. Maybe they're focusing on building their family and they just need to keep their fitness taken over. So you realize that it's like 90% psychology when you're working with someone. And I think like my mom was even saying to me there today, like she only just mentioned there today, she's like, yeah, I think you've always been good with people. You're just like, you're kind of a people person. I think I picked that up from college, from all the socializing. It was just from going out.
The only thing I picked up from college.
That was the only useful skill. At least I can use it now. But yeah, just an ability to talk to people and understand and have empathy. I know, like basic human traits or whatever, but you'd be surprised when coaching is brought into the equation and there is an opportunity for a coach to take on a lot of clients. Sometimes there's not like that kind of human care for it. Like it's literally just like someone is just taking them in, they're a number, yada yada, they're sent off, they're sent their training plan, nutrition, and that's it. And that's something that I definitely stand against inside the industry. And we've got to the stage now where, like as I mentioned, even just lay people are understanding that there's so many online coaches. Like you hear of like a painter is coming into the house and go, geez, there's loads of online coaches these days. Like people who aren't even in fitness, they know. And we're at the stage now where a lot of people have lost trust in people's ability to coach them through the process, because they've joined a program, they've been given a cookie cutter program, and then it's not worked for them. And then they come to the assumption, okay, this can't work for me. Or even worse, I'm a failure because I can't even stick to something so simple that everyone else is getting results with. And the reason wasn't because they're a failure, it's because they weren't given the correct support that they need. And like I really do believe like everyone is coachable. Everyone needs a different method, or once they have a desire to change, then they are coachable. It's just about finding that right fit for that person.
How do you, like when you say it's online, how do you get that engagement with someone though? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's one that a lot of people maybe don't understand, because the traditional way to work.
Do you still do the one-on-one sessions?
No, I don't do
purely
one-to-one.
online.
Yeah, so I used to do one-to-one sessions, and they're a great way to introduce someone to the gym, show them how to do exercise safely. But there's only so much support you can give them in the gym 1 hour per week. If you want to change like someone's life, like you literally just want to change the way they see themselves, change their nutrition habits, change how they manage stress, change how they even just like can wear different clothes or do different things that they couldn't do before. Like you're not going to get that with 1 hour of a gym session per week. It's everything outside of that. It's education. So there's five drivers for success. So plan and your training plan and nutrition plan is one. Okay. That's like the first pillar. That's just so that you know what to do at the start. But then the other 4 are probably even more important. So you have training and education, which is to understand more about the process so that you can apply it to your life afterwards. You have support so that you can lean on someone when you have a tough week. You can reach out for a call. You can reach out to, give either a bit of kind of encouragement for that time, or maybe even just have them sit down and say, look, you're not doing what you need to do. I need you to, stay accountable. That's the next step, is accountability,
Yeah.
And that's why people really struggle, because when no one's holding them accountable, they can so easily fall back into old ways because they don't have someone with them every step of the way so that they can raise their standards, And then the last bit is community. So feeling like you're part of something bigger, where you're working with other like-minded people, and you might be in a group, and someone says, oh, by the way, guys, this week I just hit like my 80 kilo milestone. I've been trying to get to this weight for months. And, you can really feel inspired by that. So all of that is supplied through an online system, and not.
Would you have group kind of get-togethers on your online?
I'm actually having one this Saturday.
Right, okay.
So we're meeting up this Saturday. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. I'll definitely try and make the effort to meet up with them when I move to Australia, because I'm moving. I'm moving next week. So I'm moving on next Tuesday. But
it's still online.
It's still online. Yeah, exactly. It's still online. And,
just you being lovely sunny beach, and then everyone's here.
Yeah. I've had a coach before who was in Australia, and it was always one of those things that's in the back of your head when you start online coaching. Like, it's definitely not the reason that I started, because I think some people associate. A lot of people associate online coaching with like moving to Dubai and working tax free and working in all this money and getting all this topless selfies and all that. That's not why I started, but I suppose it is a good way. It's an added bonus of the job, is that you can work remotely.
For sure.
But they're still going to be my number one priority. It's not like I'm just going to move across.
Is that why you're going over there? Is to do that though?
So,
or is it just to get out of Ireland?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Sorry, what age are you?
I'm 26.
26. Right. Okay, just so I have to know in my head, right?
So it's a little bit of both. Of course, I've never experienced living abroad for a long period, and it's always something I wanted to do. I have a couple of close friends who lived in Lisbon after college, and when I went over to visit them, it was just great. It's just all the lads living together. Now, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm moving in with my girlfriend over there.
Slightly different.
Yeah, slightly different. We're not going to be living in the same housing conditions, we'll say. But yeah, I suppose one thing would just be to, I know it's so common now, where it's like, okay, 20-something-year-old move to Australia, do a year right there. But it's like,
but sure,
people must be onto something.
Exactly,
100%.
I went to Australia when I was just after college, when I was 22. Oh, really? Went to Perth, I went to Sydney and then Perth.
Which did you prefer out of the two?
Oh, Perth all the way.
Really?
Yeah, it was just way more chilled, man.
So
is that where you're going?
Yeah, we're going to Perth.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Scarborough. Is that probably where you're going to go to?
Yeah, we're not going to go there.
Right,
so
that's where,
we're looking at a place based off of where my girlfriend Nicole is working.
Okay.
So she's going to be working in a hospital over there. She's a doctor. So we're going to have to see where we're living based in Perth now. So that'll be the main decider on where we're going to live. Because obviously I can work anywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Can be working from a coffee shop. So.
Yeah. It's it's class, man. The lifestyle is just, look, it's 12, 13 years since I've been there.
Well, people are still going over,
people are still going over, and there's a lot more young people, I think, going over now. Again, it's like everyone's just, it comes in cycles, isn't it?
100%.
Seems to be like.
I have friends who went over there, and they say you don't even meet an Australian person for like a week. It's just all Irish people.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing but Irish people over there. I have a couple of close friends there now, so we'll be able to, link up over there and at least have a basis. But it's definitely one thing that it is a bonus of working online, is that you can travel and you can support people, and you have to build. I think you have to build a business that is around you but also serves people. Because if you're just building something that serves everyone else, then it's more like a charity. And people might say, oh, why are you saying that about your business? It's like, well, you know, you choose to make your own business. You choose to make your own lifestyle. And, you know, if I'm having a business where I'm not happy, then it's going to affect me personally, which is going to affect my delivery to my clients, which is going to affect their results. So in a way, you need to serve everyone, including yourself. So it's the same way if you were to just build a business that was centered around you. Yeah. So if you move to Dubai, you don't care who comes into the business. You just want to get as many people as possible. Everyone's going to be unhappy because you're just looking after you. So it's about that balance. And, you know, I would make no sort of reservations about saying that, you know, it is a move for me, because you have to do what's right for you as well, you know. Same way when
but again, as you said, if you feel good about it, you can bring that to everyone else as well, you know.
100%. And the same way when I left the gym floor, for example, you know, it was like, okay, there were probably some people that would have preferred to continue on in person, and you want to give them the option to have the same level of support and everything, but at the same time you want to do what's right for you, and if that's the right move, you can't stay trapped you know, living and working for someone else for fear of what you're going to be judged for. And I think that's what, you know, I've recently kind of spoken about in my content, which is all around like what are the real challenges that people are facing with their health and fitness, right? And it's all through personal experience as well. So when I mentioned that when I was back in college and I was, you know, I didn't have my health and fitness in a good position, it wasn't so much that I didn't have as much muscle mass as I wanted, or maybe I wasn't as lean as I wanted. Like, those are factors into it, and they do affect your confidence in a way, but it's more to do with the standard that you're holding for yourself during those periods. It's less about, like, you know, how you look physically. It's more about what you're doing on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, would you say consistency?
100%.
So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the most difficult things to get, because everyone
has the life.
Yeah, well, everyone has a life, and everyone has had that fitness journey where they go all in for a couple of weeks and then they just fall off because the level that they were going for a couple of weeks was just completely unsustainable. And then that can lead back to feelings of feeling inadequate, feeling like you can't get it when everyone else can. And like, I've been there as well, where I've tried to get things back on track. You're doing like 4 a.m. starts. You're like, no, tomorrow I'm going to get my shit together. And then it doesn't happen. And then it doesn't happen. Then it doesn't happen. And the only thing you can do to change that is, you know, get some support or change your environment and change the people that are around you. Because if you're stuck in an environment like I was, which is where, you know, I was living in a college house, there were lots of social events, you're never going to get out of that cycle because you're just surrounded by people who are doing it. And I'm not speaking bad on that at all. Like, it's just that I reached a stage in my life where I needed to change. I needed to get out of that environment because it was just so unproductive for furthering your future and furthering your career.
Yeah,
you know? For
sure.
Yeah, and I find that a lot of men are stuck with that at the moment. Like, just between.
Well, fair play to you for such a young age, realizing that. I've been able to say no.
Oh yeah, well, I suppose it just depends on it just depends on like the life you want for yourself. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going out consistently, but if you're stuck in a cycle of going out consistently and you know that you're getting those thoughts during the week that this is not serving me anymore, then there is something wrong. I don't know many people who are like, you know, trying to get their health and fitness back on track Monday to Friday, and then they go out on the weekend. I don't think there's too many people really happy about that because there's effort there and the people are wanting
and
to
they're
change.
just undoing the whole thing.
100%,
like one night out now, geez, you'd be bits for 2 or 3 days.
Well, that's it. Like, you know, you can easily undo a lot of the progress, and that's where having that accountability and having that support can come in. And you know, it's kind of like the reason why I stand for it, or it's like I'm such a big advocate of it, and why I help people doing that, is because when you're living with those feelings, it just affects every other area of your life, you know, because you're having a feeling that, okay, I'm inadequate. I can't do something that I've set out to do, even though I've started so many times. And then you're also feeling like, you know, I'm inconsistent, I'm lazy, and you have all this negative self-talk that's kind of building up in your head, and it just comes over and over and over again. And if you actually tot up like how many times am I having these thoughts throughout the day, it's ridiculous when you think of it. Like, so if you have like 5 thoughts per day, 7 times a week, like, you know, you're thinking about it for how many minutes across that week, you know? And that's kind of one thing that I suppose, like, I know it's cringy to say, but like your mission, it's like, what are you helping people for? You know, it's not just to get healthier, which is obviously really great, but it's always about like digging a little deeper for what's really going on with the client. So like when you ask someone what their goals are, they'll always say like, oh, well, I want to build muscle and lose weight. And that's fair enough. But like, that's one level.
Yeah, there's a lot of deeper things there, like, you know.
And it's my job to kind of peel back those layers and feel and say, right, well, what's the real reason? Well, I've tried 100 times and I can't do it. Okay, and how's that affected you? Well, I feel like I have low energy and my missus is noticing. And he said, okay, how's that affecting you? Well, she notices every evening and she's getting on to me. It's like, why is she getting on to you? Well, actually, I feel really insecure in myself, and, you know, we haven't been able to be intimate for the last like 6 months or whatever. Like, you're just peeling layers, and you realize that so many people are actually silently struggling with it. And you know, whether you want to say it or not, men don't get together and talk about those things.
No,
you know,
no.
Men
over a few points.
No, like, yeah, you're definitely not saying.
No, I know that is the problem. Like,
Yeah.
me and my friends have talked about that quite a lot. Like, is you like, men don't. We're terrible at it. And even I talk to my partner, and she'd be saying that, like, you know, you come in, you get 5 minutes of conversation out of me, and then that's probably me. You know what I mean? Oh, sure, it's grand.
Do you ever think of why that is? Why is it learned, or is it like innate in us?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. Some of it could be definitely innate in us. I reckon. Is it? I think we like. I think as men, maybe we kind of just get on with things a little bit more. I don't think we're good at opening up.
Oh, never. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think we just go, yeah, no, sure, it's fine. And yeah, I like, to me, I wouldn't like to be if I wouldn't want to be putting my burden on other people, and I just deal with it myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
And if you look, like, I always think of, okay, where do you learn to work from? And I always remember when I was really young, like, my dad would be getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the light would go on in the bathroom, and you see him, like, you know, brushing his teeth, getting ready for work. And whether you know it or not, you're learning. Okay,
that's
men go to work.
Yeah,
you know, and I think that's why it's in your brain, whether you even realize it or not. And that's where we pick up those feelings. But then it's like, what else are you picking up from that? Okay, well, dad doesn't come home and talk about how bad a day.
Yeah, exactly. I felt
so bad. It's like,
I was like, fucking hate my job.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'm feeling off track with my fitness. It's like, no, he comes home, and then, like, as I said earlier, he brings me swimming. Like, you know, my dad was he was running his own business, waking up at 4 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, Friday, bringing me to swimming, and then coming home, working from like 7 to like 6 o'clock in the evening some days, and then going and bringing me to swimming in the evening as well. I was doing double sessions.
Jesus.
It's like,
how many kids are in your family?
2, thankfully. Only 2. But Jake, my brother, was doing rugby as well.
Wow.
And it's like, you almost don't even have room to complain in that. That's situation.
That's
it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, stop bringing your kids to
it's like, you've no choice. Well, it's not that you do have a choice, but you're just you do it out of your
it's your responsibility. Yeah, it's your responsibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's where, I don't know, times are changing. Like, I always speak about this with, like, my mom, my dad. My mom has actually recently, in the last couple of years, got into training and going to the gym, and only because I was explaining to her how effective, you know, weight training is, especially as you age. It's so important that you're preserving all of your muscle mass. So you lose, I think it's 1% of your muscle mass per year after the age of 30.
Yeah.
That without consistent training. So if you add that up, like, you know, when you're going from 30 to 60, it's 30% of your muscle mass lost.
Wow. And especially if you don't have any there in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you run into later problems. I did my final year project on sarcopenia, which is basically age-related muscle loss and how it relates to losing muscle function as well. So before you know it, you know, you're in your late 60s, 70s, and you're losing strength to stand up after you sit down. You can't walk for as long. You're noticing your gait or your walking speed is like slowed, and you just can't do basic things. And that's where people are getting to their 70s or 80s, and they go down to pick up their dog or their grandchild.
Yeah.
And they just, they pull something in their back. It's just because it's not because they're getting old. It's not something, I don't think it's something that we have to accept. It's something that you can fight against with the correct implementation of training and nutrition. And there's no reason you can't be in your 80s walking around picking up things and training. And
is it ever too late for people? Doesn't matter what age you are.
It literally doesn't matter. Dave, I remember,
like, your body will respond. Like,
your body will respond. Yeah, that's
I think that could be a fear of a lot of older people. Do you reckon? It's
a huge misconception. Yeah. So people are afraid that they're going to get injured when they get back into training.
Yeah.
I remember coming across a study in my last years when I was doing my final year project, and it was all about sarcopenia, and they saw muscle gains in 90-year-old test subjects who were just doing resistance bands, like they
Wow.
were pulling resistance bands. So it's like the same pathways and the same cells that run our bodies are running a 90-year-old's body. So
okay.
it's not like something changes along the way, and you can start in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, 70s. Like it's not too late to get some form of function back. And as you said, like, it can be a real issue as people are afraid they're going to get injured. And that's where I suppose having an in-person trainer can be good.
Yes. Do you have any older clients? Would you have
the oldest lady I worked with? She's absolutely amazing. She's probably going to be listeing back to this. So I'll
Well,
send it on to her.
Give her a shout.
Yeah, I will. Mary is her name. I won't say her age now, but she's amazing. She runs 10Ks and 5Ks,
Really?
and she's like in her top percentile of fitness for her age group.
And has she always done it, or like was it?
She's always been into running.
Yeah.
But when I started working with her, she had never previously done any strength training. No programming and strength training. The reason she came to me was because she actually had a hamstring tear, and it was more than likely because she wasn't exposing her body to those kind of loads, like working your hamstrings in different ways. And that's what strength training can give back to you. It's just more longevity, and it's protection against everyday things, and it's protection against when you do want to sprint. I think I don't want to get this statistic wrong. There's a crazy statistic saying that something like nearly 90% of adults over 30 will never sprint again.
Wow,
Full-speed
that seems
sprint.
I suppose.
Because
And unless it's like kids' sports day or something.
maybe something like that. Yeah, exactly. And you get really competitive. Yeah, that's when real competitive nature comes out. But it is a really, really high. And you think about it, it's like, okay, what's a max sprint? It's like a max effort run. And it's like, the more and more you think of it, you're like, oh, okay, that kind of does make sense that people wouldn't be able to do that, especially if you're not training that
For
consistently.
sure, yeah. So when would you really? Well, yeah.
Never.
See, I played football 5-a-side, but unless you're doing something like that,
Yeah.
probably really wouldn't. Like,
You're in the 10%.
Am I?
Yes. You're in the 10%.
And so I wanted to. There's a couple of things there. There's a lot. Now this could be a 7-hour podcast.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. There's not going to be any awkward silence.
No. So typically, say I wanted to come on. What do you give? Like, if you can people get in touch with you anytime? Do you give them a structure, including their diet, everything?
Yeah.
Like, it's the whole package, is it?
Yeah, so I just had 2 calls today with 2 guys who joined the program, and basically what we go through when we hop on a call, firstly we need to find out if we're going to be a good fit going forward.
Right.
That's what's most important, because if you have certain goals and I cater to this certain client, it's not going to work just by you coming in the program and saying, right, great, let's go. Because we need to find out that we're going to be a good fit. I've heard some people call it the dickhead test. You need to talk to someone for like 45 minutes to find out, okay, is this fella a dickhead or not? You know? Because that's the thing as well, is, and that's one of the best things I think about marketing yourself online, is that you can genuinely push people away that aren't in your tribe, and that's fine, because they're not going to want to work with you anyway. So that's one thing I discovered in my content, is just to be a lot more authentic, and especially around your beliefs and what you think is right and wrong and everything, because sure, people are going to disagree. I don't put anything too controversial out or anything like that, but you need to stay.
It's a hard thing, isn't it? Like, to get that balance, because
100%.
Jesus, online now is a warpath.
Yeah, and
you say one wrong thing, and they're like,
and the last thing you want is to sound like every other coach.
For sure.
That's where you need to differentiate yourself. But yeah, to answer your question, so someone wants to get involved, we have a chat, we discuss some goals, we discuss if it's going to be a good fit going forward. If you like to send the program, then we get you started. So pretty much there's what we kind of break it into different phases. So the initial phase is kind of what we call the slingshot phase. So this is where you're just getting settled into the program. It's kind of like your first 4 weeks where you're ironing out any creases. It's kind of like a steep learning curve, because you're getting a lot thrown at you at once. Now, the goal is not to have a lot thrown at you. You want to make it like, as easy to understand as possible. And often in this stage, it's almost like less is more. You almost want to underwhelm the individual with how simple it is.
Right.
Because
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
If you just try, and this is like a big one that I've had to catch myself of in the past, it's like, it's all well and good sounding like really smart and you know what you're talking about, but like, if you just inundate the client with too much information, they're going to be like, this is way too much. I thought this is going to be simple. You want to make it so simple that it's impossible not to stick to for the first 4 weeks. And of course, like, not to say that there aren't difficulties, you know, something might come up, you might have a question, etc. But it's all about just getting settled in and feeling like, you know, this is where I belong. I'm making some progress. And really important in that is just getting some quick wins, like get that person feeling, oh yeah, I've got some momentum going now, you know. Because when they make that psychological connection in the first couple of weeks that things are clicking, it can make or break the whole journey. So if you have a bad start, and sometimes it does happen, you know, something pops up you didn't expect, you have a bad start. But if you have a bad start, like, the likelihood that, you know, things are going to stay consistent or sometimes get a little bit worse kind of increases. So you want to make sure they have everything they need for the start. And then they start building some good momentum. And then, you know, most of the guys that come to me, they're mainly looking to start off with a fat loss phase and then kind of transition into more of a muscle building phase. Okay. Now, a lot of the foundations will still apply. You still need good nutrition standards laid, and that's why we have the first 4 weeks. Typically, which would be included in the first 4 weeks. You give a nutrition plan as well. Yeah, absolutely. So are you assessing them at the start as well? Pretty much, yeah. Some people will have a different starting point to others, and it's like, you don't want to give everyone the same thing. If someone has been tracking calories and worked with an online coach before, you can just go bang straight there you go. You can start doing this, and they'll start getting results a little bit quicker. Versus if someone has just never dieted before, they've only trained a little bit, they're really new to it, they are going to need something different. So we might give them even just like rules around nutrition. So we call this like habit-based coaching. So basically, if you take an individual who doesn't really have any habits around nutrition, doesn't really understand portion controlling, doesn't really understand what a good meal should look like in terms of protein, fruit and vegetables at each meal, hydration targets, all this, you just start them off with really basic habit-based coaching. And that's actually going to work better for them, even though it's more simplistic. So you could take someone who's really high level and give them, right, you need to have 2,300 calories, 190 grams of protein, sort of like what I did when I did my photo shoot there a couple of years ago, because my coach understood. He's like, right, he's going to understand it. He's going to go straight away and start getting the results. But yeah, if you give that same program to a beginner, they're just not going to know where to start. They're going to say, oh, I'm tracking calories wrong. How many times am I supposed to be training? Am I doing this exercise right? It's just too much. So the idea is you just give them what they need at every single stage in order to bring their level up at each stage. And sometimes that means a bit more support, and then sometimes that means a bit more of a challenge. So you don't want to just keep someone at the same level throughout their whole journey. You want to encourage them to, you know, maybe try an extra weight training session across the week, start to track their nutrition a little bit better, start to increase their protein intake slightly. And would you check in with them every week? Yeah, every week. For like, it's not like a hard and fast rule. Like, some people will need weekly monitoring, and some people will need bi-weekly. Some people, you know, don't check in. They just want the accountability. They just want someone knowing that they're like in your corner and just keeping you stuck to the goal. As I said, like, everyone is different, and especially depends on the type of person as well. Like, if you have a type A person, like really kind of, you know, wired for business, and they're like, you know, really kind of like up and at 'em sort of person, they might not have the time to be checking in, and that's fine. Like, you know, what's important is not expecting everyone to just reach this standard when you start coaching with them. You have to understand that some people are not going to engage the same way as others, and that's fine. You know, it's like, as long as they have what they need, you're doing your part as a coach to make sure that they feel supported. Then it just depends on the individual what kind of support they need to reach their results. You know, sometimes it can be an inconvenience checking in. I remember when I was checking in, like, I worked with a coach before for a photo shoot. That was kind of like the done thing. That was like where you're starting off and you're like, okay, how do I break into the industry? Oh, I'll do a photo shoot like everyone else. That was before I really baby oil. Oh man, everything, baby oil, 16 weeks of dieting. It was an experience. It was a good experience. It was sort of like, as they say, walking the walk. For sure. No, but I hate that term. It's so overused. But still, and I always find, just on a side note on the photo shoots, it's like, some people, I've often seen people say, oh, a photo shoot was the worst thing ever. Right. And they're like, oh, it ruined my relationship with dieting. I just got so lean and so low in energy. And I'm just like, okay, you either didn't get the correct support or you didn't know what you were signing up for. It's like, no one's ever gone to a photo shoot and said, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever. I'm going to
right.
feel amazing. It's like, no, it's challenging, and you do have to be really strict with your food, and you do have to say no to social occasions. But some people like build their whole coaching model around, I had a bad experience with a photo shoot, and now I'm going to help everyone stay away from that as far as possible.
Okay.
And that's fair. Like, you know, you had a bad experience, but it's like, you probably just didn't do it right, or you didn't get the right experience, or maybe you weren't the right type of person to do in the first place. Maybe you had an irresponsible coach, which I suppose isn't really their fault. But at the same time, you know, you have to know what you're signing up for. It's like, I knew when I was doing a photo shoot, it's like, I'm not going to be going towards the end and being like, oh, this is amazing, I've got so much food. It's like, no, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be tired, you're going to feel like shit, but you're going to look great.
Right.
You're going to look absolutely fucking sick.
I'm dying inside.
Yeah, man, 100%. Yeah. And that's what people need to understand. So that, yeah, people will sort of paint it all with the same brush and say all photo shoots are bad. It's like, no, if you're the right person, they can be an incredible display of discipline. I know one of the best people who does them, my old coach, Matt Cooney, he does a group charity photo shoot every year in Nina. And all of those people, they do it for the challenge, but you know, everyone has a different standard.
So is that just, sorry, when you're saying photo shoot, is that to actually just getting as lean as you can for like...
Pretty much, yeah. People like...
Is that, sorry, I don't know, is that like a big thing? Like, is it a big thing in the coaching world to do?
I feel like it used to be bigger. I feel like it definitely used to be a bigger thing where you just see every Tom, Dick and Harry was doing a photo shoot every other week. But yeah, I suppose it was kind of the thing. I always think of this like, there was online coaching before I was an online coach, and I sort of joined after that big wave after COVID. So I wasn't really in the industry then, but back then it was just like photo shoots, and you almost went to a coach to do a photo shoot, or you were encouraged to do a photo shoot when you worked with a coach.
But what's the thought of the outcome by doing that?
So like, the outcome is just like, for guys, it will be like get as lean as possible with as much muscle as possible.
But no, sorry, I mean, like, would it be for clients that would look and go, well, he looks great, I'm going to go in? Is that what the whole idea is?
So I think a thought process was for coaches, and why they would get their client to do that is because if you take someone week one, like, you know, never step foot in the gym, and then you do a fucking airbrushed photo where like, I've just dieted for like 20 weeks, of course it's going to look phenomenal. And then you're kind of given this impression that you're like, these are the transformations I get, but then you don't see like, you know, how they coach that person afterwards, and how they just put on all the way afterwards in like 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, for guys it would generally be like, okay, try to get as lean with as much muscle as possible. For girls it really depends. Like, some will go for that like bodybuilder look where they're like, they want to see shoulder striations, they want to see their abs. Women will hold body fat a lot differently to men. They won't be able to get as lean and maintain as much muscle mass because it's harder just with their hormones. But yeah, just in general, it's generally just to go and get some airbrush photos.
Right, okay. There you go.
That kind of is it, absolutely.
What was I going to say? Yeah, so like, how are you with socializing and stuff like that now? Do you still drink? And obviously you probably don't smoke anymore, do you?
No, I don't do that anymore. But I
but do you still, and are just, you have a good handle on it now?
I drink. Like, the way I look at alcohol now is, I kind of go through seasons of the year. So, you know, Christmas might be a season. Right now is a season because I'm moving away to Australia, and we've had a few social drinks with family and friends and all that. But that's how I kind of look at alcohol now. It's like, okay, it's a season. It probably doesn't serve me as much anymore. And also, when you do some looking into like the effects of alcohol, you realize how bad it is. Like, all of that sort of, you know, idea of having a glass of wine with dinner, it's good because there's polyphenols and antioxidants. It's like, all of that data and research has been just completely quashed now, because you just realize that all of the alcohol present just completely outdoes all of the good things that might be associated with it. So like, when you're drinking consistently, you're looking at raised cortisol levels, which is like your stress hormone. You're looking at lower testosterone, which is a huge one for men, especially. It tanks your testosterone. It reduces your ability to recover after training sessions. It dehydrates you. It impairs your sleep. It means you get a lot less REM sleep, which is always why you have like a bad night's sleep the night after drinking. I actually had that in the last week. I just went out for a few pints with the lads, and just the Sunday night was just like crazy dreams. And you just realize that, you know, I suppose when you are like, it's not to say that you can't have it and be a part of your life. It just depends on your lifestyle and your values. But my relationship with drink now is like, I'll go through seasons where I'll have a drink here and there, and especially on holidays, like, you know, I love an Aperol, Aperol on the holidays. Yeah.
I suppose it's probably just getting the balance right, isn't it? Like, you have to kind of unwind sometimes as well.
And I think in terms of balance for some people, like balance, I think everyone should have balance to some degree, where it's like you should be able to enjoy a drink and you should be able to enjoy food out. You know, I think that's a really important part of finding a long-term solution with your fitness. But I think what people get wrong about balance is that if they've spent years in this side of the pendulum, say for example, where they have no balance, where they're drinking a lot, eating out a lot, not exercising, and just generally not treating their body well, you need to sort of swing it in the opposite way for a while and just almost like make up for it. Because if you go from like
go teetotal job off at all, was that what you're saying?
Go what, sorry?
Like, as in just give all the...
For a time, just go really all in on your goals. Because I find what happens is, if you go from complete unbalance where you're drinking and socializing every other couple of weeks, and then you go to like a little bit of balance where you're like training a bit, you're kind of eating out here and there, you're drinking a good bit as well, it's sort of like the results you're getting are so slow that you just get completely disengaged for a while. And it's not for everyone. Some people can kind of go, you know, find that balance straight away, but I find that sometimes to really just get it done and give yourself the motivation is like just saying no and having really strong social boundaries. That's the biggest one. And I think maybe it's an Irish thing, maybe it's just like people in general, but saying no to like food and drink is really, really difficult.
I struggle with that.
Someone offers
like
it to you,
social occasions and stuff, so you get the FOMO, you know what I mean? Like, I'd love to go, do you know?
FOMO,
like,
100%. And if you know, if someone is offering you drink or offering you food, you know, you don't want to be rude, you know.
For sure.
I need to eat this or whatever, and that it can be hard to put up those social barriers. But I find I heard a good one recently there saying that if it's not a fuck yes, then it's a no if you're on your fitness journey. So like, if someone is like, oh yeah, it's my wedding next week, you're like, okay, cool, that's a fuck yes. It's your best friend's wedding.
For
but
sure.
like, if someone is like, if you're trying to make a big change and someone goes, oh, do you want to grab a pint here in town afterwards? It should be a no.
It should be a no.
Yeah, especially if you're in a season of focusing on yourself, you know, focusing on growing. So it is hard to balance, and I think you do have to go through periods
That's a good way of
being
explaining
unbalanced. Yeah, absolutely. Because if you take an individual who really wants to change and then you start going balance straight away, they're just going to get results so slow. They're going to be like, oh, this is going to take like 2 years, and then it's like
not enough has changed to see the effect of what you're going to do. Like
100%.
Really, you do. You kind of just go head first into it and don't look back for a while.
Absolutely. 100%. You do.
And it's one of those things that, you know, it's like, as you said, like someone, oh, do you want to go for a pint on the Tuesday? Say you should, and saying no to that, it isn't too bad. But I'm sure it would be. You know, you have to get used to saying no, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about like your internal standards as well, because, you know, I think that's like a big part that we look at inside the program is kind of like your relationship with yourself and your limiting beliefs about yourself. So we do a lot on identity-based outcomes as opposed to goal-based outcomes. So for example, if your goal is there's a wedding coming up and you say, I need to lose 10 kilos, it often comes from like a place of scarcity where I don't have this thing and I need it, and there's a deadline, and it can often come from comparison. So you're comparing yourself to other people who are going to be at the wedding. Oh, what's he going to say? What's she going to say, etc. And it's basically what we call it's a goal-based outcome. And it's sort of the same way where if you were a football manager and you're looking at the leaderboard and you're saying, okay, what's the goal-based outcome? Well, we need to get to the top of the leaderboard. And all you do throughout the entire season is check the leaderboard, check the leaderboard, check the leaderboard. Versus if we look at identity-based outcomes and you say, I'm going to become the type of person that never has to lose weight again, or never has to, you know, restart their fitness journey again. It's much deeper and it's much more powerful, because you're literally embodying a new standard.
Right.
So the comparison would be the football manager who, instead of looking at the goal, focuses on, we're going to become the type of team who wins every season.
Okay.
So then they look at, you know, the players' sleep, the players' training sessions, how to recover in between, you know, tactics, etc. So you literally start to look at, you know, not the goal itself, but what can we do in the lead up to it, and what can we do to change our identity. And that limiting belief is one that so many people have, and it's kind of normal at the start. So say, for example,
how do you crack that though?
Yeah,
like,
that's a good question.
It's like, you know, so for someone to have Is it exercise is probably the first barrier with it, is it?
I think the first barrier is people often don't even realize that they're self-sabotaging, or that they feel like an imposter. So if you've never set foot in the gym and you've been given a training plan, the first thought in your head is like, oh, everyone's looking at me. Am I doing this exercise wrong? Everyone knows that I'm not a gym guy, even though no one's looking. You know, we all have these feelings when we start off. It's like everyone knows that I'm not a gym guy. But, you know, when you're stuck in that belief and you stay in that belief, that's where the problems arise, because you consistently see yourself as this imposter trying to do something that they're not really good at.
I think it's quite the opposite as well. Like I go to Gym Plus, and if I see even an old person, whatever, I'm like, good on them, like, you know what I mean? I think most people in the gym are actually going fair play, you know, whereas like, you know, people might be thinking, oh, are they not looking at me? No, they're actually going like, good on you. Do you know what I mean? It's
very rare that you'll get someone who is really into the gym who'll actually actively look down on people.
Yeah. Like I've never seen, like, always people are very helpful. Like
100%. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you need to get over those limiting beliefs. But if you stay stuck in that trap of seeing yourself as someone who's still trying to do something but never embodying it and becoming the type of person that goes to the gym, you'll always see yourself as that type of person, and you'll never be able to achieve long-term change. So that's why we always focus on, like, you know, becoming the type of person that never needs to lose weight again. That's much more powerful than I need to lose 10 kilos. As I said, like, scarcity mindset, I don't have it, I need it, versus the one who is embodying the new standards. When they get a setback, they understand that it's part of the growth process. So if you were to just start off with me and I was say, yeah, this is perfect, we're going to have you to your results in 10 weeks or whatever, that's grand, and I was to say there's going to be no obstacles, it's like you wouldn't even believe me. But when you understand that obstacles are part of the journey and they actually are required in order to make you grow, it just allows you to tackle them head on a lot better. So like I've never had someone start the program and in their first 12 weeks not have like one blip, you know. It could be something unexpected. It could be like, okay, a close relative died, or I just had a real big fight with my partner, or I just had, like, you know, something come up and it just derails them for a week. And then I actually tell them, I'm like, you know, in a way, it's an opportunity to grow and challenge yourself. 100%, because if you just learn how to get results when it's all sunshine and rainbows, it's like what happens when the shit hits the fan. You'd never be able to maintain it. So we actually kind of embrace
the failure that makes you better, really. Isn't it?
Exactly. So you embrace challenge and you embrace that the growth that comes with it, you know.
Yeah. Just think about that now. That's really good.
Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, I think it does kind of come down to, again, like that mindset thing where it's like, I think people nowadays need more challenge as opposed to less, because I always
actually seen that video. You put one up on the Instagram with that.
Because you know, with nowadays, if you look at everything that we would traditionally want, say we were like hunter-gatherers. I know this is so, like, you know, sort of this kind of
go with it, man.
Yeah, I'll go with it. So if you look at everything that we would want and we're in that situation, it's like, okay, sexual satisfaction, you know, food, and probably just shelter. Dopamine. Shelter and dopamine. You know, that's all you're looking for. And it's like, okay, how do we replace those things now? Well, sexual satisfaction is like, you can go onto porn sites and you can go onto OnlyFans. For food, you can literally just order it to your door. Like, it's like, just crazy, you don't even have to leave the house. Dopamine then is like phones, and, you know, even just like, you know, bad habits like smoking weed and just, you know, getting that cheap kind of dopamine. Even the rise of like so much of those like vapes, and you see all these nicotine pouches as well. Like, you know, it's just dopamine. And then you kind of become sheltered in this sort of environment where all of your needs are met, but they're not really, because it's like an artificial way of meeting them. And that's why I think people just don't have as much of a reason to literally leave the house and find challenge.
It's crazy, isn't it? Everything's just we're so spoiled.
Very 100%.
You know, like, we literally have
it's ridiculous.
Even like, wasn't that long ago, you have to go and rent a DVD. Now you can just sit there and just scroll for hours. Like, you know, it's insane.
I think about those things all the time. It's like, it's just so easily accessible. And I suppose Yeah,
it's like we're coming close. You ever see Wall-E? You know the film? What? It's like we're coming closer and closer.
It's such a good, you know it's such a good commentary on the way that we're going. You know, and it's like, what's the next step then as well? Whether it's AI girlfirlriends or AI,
it's already there, man.
Probably
isn't it?
is. It probably is.
Jesus.
It's just the next step of it, and I suppose.
Didn't mean to cut across you. Just on the AI before I forget. Do you think that's going to affect? How do you?
Yeah,
you see, I've seen these apps popping up now where it scans your whole thing and
100%. There's more information out there than ever before.
Do you use it?
AI, AI is incredibly useful for
yeah,
coaching. Yeah, it's great because it can just, if you're using it in the right way. So, you know, if it's allowing me to build a system faster, or get back to a client faster, or just even structure my day better. You know, it's scary how much it can help.
It's crazy,
it's scary,
isn't it?
yeah, it is.
I'd be driving around my car and just like put it on, asking like any question. It's nuts.
It's crazy, it can do anything.
Yeah.
And it's frighteningly fast as well.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous how much better it is than humans. But to answer your question on AI coming for coaching, I mean, I don't know if we're at the stage anytime soon where someone would feel accountable to an AI.
Yeah.
Like if you were like ChatGPT, keep me accountable to this.
Yeah.
It's gonna message you and you're gonna go, you're gonna unplug it or something. So
I think, as you said, implementing the two, you know.
Implementing the two, because, you know, I think people are worried that, okay, it's going to come for the coaching business. I don't really think it is. I think it's more so going to help the people who are able to use it, and anyone who's not using it is probably going to fall behind. It's the same with any business right now. You probably start using it here in the coffee shop.
Just for, I use it for loads of different things.
I even heard for like stock taking. It's so you know, you feed it in, this is how many we sold, and it's like, this is the expiry date, and it'll be like boom boom boom, there you go, and which would be so difficult to figure out on your own. You wouldn't know. For sure, just going to make everything better.
Just systems and like it's just I'd be following it. I'm mad into that side of things, like in tech
100%.
and just kind of keeping on top of it a bit, but like it is crazy, like.
And but I don't know if someone will be able to stay accountable to AI or to build a community around AI as well.
I think people are always going to need that human interaction. And
absolutely.
I was reading something recently about that, and they're saying like a lot of the jobs which you would think it's going to take over actually won't, because people, like, take even a coffee shop, people are still going to want to go to coffee shops and, you know, meet with people, and even if AI is like looking after law, people are still going to want to go and talk to people. Do you know what I mean? So it's just
absolutely, it's going to take away some jobs. It's the same way in the
with everything
industrial revolution.
It's
like we don't have people lighting lamps on the street anymore.
Exactly.
It's like I'm sure they were rioting whenever we come up with electricity.
Typewriter, all that kind of crap.
It's just a natural process, and then people just filter into new jobs, and there's new jobs that are being created every year. Podcasts.
Exactly.
People make this their full-time career. And it's like, if you told someone 10 years ago I'm a podcaster, even 10 years ago,
they would have been
probably what the hell is that? New jobs just replace it. And the other threat to coaching is, you know, Ozempic and people kind of leaning more towards it. I actually got the first ad today, believe it or not, just before I come in. It was for like an online fitness based company that is just selling Ozempic shots. Basically, it was saying that we're using pharmaceutical and lab based strategies. It didn't quite say Ozempic, but I'm going to assume pretty well that it is. And
what does that actually do? Is you take it and you're just not hungry?
It's sure. Long story short, it does. It dampens your appetite a lot, but there are implications to that as well. So a lot of people will assume that all weight loss is good, right? But if you're taking something that is basically blunting your appetite so much that you don't meet your nutritional requirements in terms of vitamins, minerals, and especially protein, you're gonna lose weight, but potentially not the weight you want to lose. You can lose muscle mass, bone density, you know? So I think weight loss has to be used, again, like AI, in tandem with coaching. Like, I don't understand when people are saying, oh, it cheats way out, or it's like, you know, it's just an easy way out. It's like, it's not true at all, because what I've learned so far is, like, no two people have it the same in terms of their starting point with their relationship with food, their hunger markers, their all these different like genetic components, you know. So I think people can be born with like naturally higher appetites. Like, you know, we all have that friend who doesn't eat. We all have that friend who just is like, they never eat, they just run off coffee, and they've always been really skinny. And it's the same with like, we've always all had that friend who's like always had a larger appetite and always kind of struggled with food. And I think a lot of it can be down to environment when you're growing up, maybe the type of household that you were brought up in and the meals they made, etc. But at the same time, there does come down a genetic component there. And I think that's where the use of, you know, GLP-1 agonists like Ozempic can come in.
Okay.
Because they can aid someone who is naturally predisposed to being heavier.
Okay.
And if they use that in conjunction with the right nutrition, the right training, then they can get incredible results that they maybe wouldn't have been otherwise able to.
Okay.
I remember a good post before. It's a guy online, I forget his name now, but he was he was doing a photo shoot, and he was explaining to his sister, who had always struggled with her weight, that he felt pretty much hungry on a day-to-day basis and he couldn't stop thinking about food. And she goes, "Oh, that's like my reality since I was born. Like I've always thought about food more." So I think people are just naturally born with these natural kind of higher appetites and more genetically predisposed. So it's like, if you can use medication in conjunction with training, that's going to actually help you build muscle and maintain that muscle. Because as we were talking about earlier with sarcopenia, when you're losing muscle mass, it's not good. You're going to lose muscle function. So it needs to be used in the right way. But again, it needs to work in conjunction with coaching.
And what would you recommend if you wanted to gain muscle? Well, supplements and stuff like that.
Gain muscle. Well,
like, you don't, does everyone get like naturally bigger, or like, do you have to take?
Yeah. So in terms of supplements, there's only really one that's going to make a meaningful difference, which is creatine monohydrate.
Right,
like it's been studied so many times. There's literally thousands of studies on people and the effects that it has. And
it's good for you as well, creatine,
it's really good.
Yeah. No, like really, I've read a lot on it as well. It's like, is this?
They're exploring recently more sort of the health benefits in terms of protecting your brain as you age. So, and that's with like higher doses of like 15 to 20 grams. And I'd seen that recently come into the forefront, where people are kind of experimenting with it, and it's meant to improve like your cognitive function. So yeah, creatine, great for muscle building.
What brand would you recommend, or would you?
Creatine monohydrate, the cheapest one. Like there's
doesn't matter.
Yeah, some people.
A little fella there'll be all right. Like.
Maybe not little. I was just thinking about it now. Maybe not little, but yeah, good reputable brand. You want to go something like that. It's so funny. People will sell like creatine ethyl ester, and they're like, "Oh, this is way more absorbable," and it's like, no, the best studies have been done on monohydrate, which happens to be monohydrate, which happens to be the cheapest one. So it's good news for us, the consumer.
Right, okay,
you don't need to get a big expensive one. And yeah, I think the number one thing that people miss when it comes to like building muscle is the intensity with their training and how seriously they need to take it.
When I suppose that's everything, you're like really going at it, like diet.
Yeah, I think
once a day, an hour a day, would that be all right, or would you have to go more?
You can build a lot of muscle with like 3 or 4 sessions a week. You know,
an hour
45 minutes. Yeah,
45
really. Yeah. It really just does depend on how. It depends on your starting point, your genetics, how hard you're pushing in those sessions. But like any time I walk into the gym, it's always one thing that I see that I always think of like, all right, if I could make like an intercom announcement to the entire gym as like a public service announcement, it's like, you're coming to the gym already. I see you here for like 5 or 6 days out of the week. And it's like, your physique is not changing, and you're doing the same training sessions, but you're leaving like 10 reps left in the tank every time you do a set. Like my thought process there is, you're making the effort to come to the gym. Your nutrition's probably not that bad. You know, you probably are getting, you know, basic nutrient requirements, but like, just push that a little harder and start tracking your lifts and start, you know, really pushing for what we call failure on a set. It would literally take your results to the next level within like 6 months. Like literally just look at how you're training and realize that showing up for training is not enough. Like that's one of those things that is a bit of a non-negotiable. If you want to put on muscle mass, it's a really, really difficult thing to do, because our bodies are just not built for building muscle. Like we're really bad at it as animals, if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah,
we're more kind of endurance based, and
so you're just kind of leaning up and just sticking. We're more
we're more suited to like cardiovascular adaptations.
Okay.
Someone will get much fitter before they get really strong. So like if you look at like the strongest man in the world, he's still like a fraction of the strength of like a gorilla. Like, you know, they're not even close to it, you know, and they're a really close relative. It's just because we're not really built for that. And yeah, you have to really fight to build a lot of muscle mass, even a small amount of muscle mass. And this goes for like men and women alike. So like every body transformation is basically going to be a ratio of more muscle mass to less body fat. So whether you're a woman or a man, whatever, it doesn't matter. You need to improve that ratio. So literally reduce your body fat level, but also really focus on building as much muscle as you can, because it's also really protective against all-cause mortality. So that's another thing that people don't realize. Like the more muscle you have, to a degree, without the assistance of steroids, of course, the longer you will live. Like that is it's so like overlooked, and you have a better quality of life as well.
I think that was, I was watching that on a podcast recently.
Yeah.
With your man, the CEO, Dory, the CEO, might have had someone on.
It could have,
was talking about
it
something
probably
like that.
was.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, and people overlook it. They're like, oh, I need to do my cardio, or I'm running, I'm fit. It's like, no, you need more muscle mass as well. So you can be a jacked 90-year-old. You can live long. That's the goal. But yeah, people don't realize how difficult it is to really do that. So yeah, it's just about, you know, kind of looking at your training a lot more. So because I just see that as a massive waste of potential, especially if someone is showing up consistently and they're not seeing the changes they want. I hear it so many times as well. It's like, oh yeah, no, my training's good, I just need help with the nutrition. And then you just look at their training and you're like, no, your training's not good. Right. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you. And that's where it comes down to like what we were saying earlier about men like not asking for help or not reaching out. I think that's a big barrier as well, is that there's almost like a little bit of shame in admitting that you haven't found it out yourself, because we all have that friend that like got into the gym and, you know, was able to build a really good physique and they never got help. But like if you look at the amount of time that a coach actually puts into learning their craft, which is like, you know, me for example, you know, done like from the age of 16 basically just used to binge watch YouTube videos on how to build muscle. So like that's my foundation before I even started formal education. And then I did, you know, 4 years undergrad sport and exercise science. Then you have like a personal training certificate. That doesn't really count though. That's I'll tell a story about that in a minute. But and then you have like, you know, obviously learning your craft, working with people, learning under other coaches. Like that's like thousands of hours of actually learning how to do it properly. And people can do it themselves, which is fine. You know, they are able to, but assuming that you're able to do it yourself and having that sort of, self-belief that you won't ask for help because it's like seen as, oh, I couldn't figure it out, is so ridiculous. It's like the best people in the world will outreach to someone else and they'll pay them to show them how to do it quicker. You know, that's how you know, rich people operate, that because they don't want to learn to do it themselves because they have other things to be focusing on. So it's the same way that you could technically fix something that went wrong in your car, but like I would just myself personally, I would rather pay
same
and make sure exactly I cannot change a tire, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with it.
I can change the tire, come on man.
I shouldn't have admitted that on here.
Well, just about though. Just about. Changed that,
exactly.
I got your back.
but I would much rather just outsource that and pay someone else to do it. And that's the way I look at it.
I'd be with you though.
It's like I could learn how to do it, you know, and that's fine.
No, you should probably learn how to change a tire. Like, what if at the side of the road? Like, you're going to Australia, man, and you're going to Australia, and you're going to be driving. Could be driving.
I'll be out back. Yeah, I know. I'll be looking up, but I can look up YouTube.
Where's the AA?
I'll be saying, "Geez, I regret saying that now on that podcast." Stuck out here. But what I was going to say about the personal training course. So I won't name them, but I did. Okay. So the way my course worked, I did sport and exercise science in Limerick for 4 years. Now they don't actually give you a certificate to coach training and exercise. It's ridiculous. Like we did so many modules on coaching squats and bench presses and you know all the background of it that you'd ever need for coaching someone safely in the gym was all provided, but you just don't have that like little piece of paper that says this guy can safely coach someone in the gym. So they offer like this add-on course, which is like 2 years, and you know, it's basically kind of a loophole. They're like, oh, go and do this other course. So I didn't do it in time, of course, because I was going crazy in college.
Yeah.
And I was like starting to work in the gym. They required a personal training certificate, and I just went and I was like, right, I'm just going to do the quickest one I can so that I can get the sheet. I know that I'm confident in coaching exercise, so I'm just going to go quickest one. It was like an online course. It was self-directed. They said it was like 12 weeks,
Right.
and like I completed it in like 4, because first of all, the requirements to pass it were 12 multiple choice question online exams with like a 15-minute timer that were open book as well, that basically asked you the most ridiculous questions. I remember one was it was so obvious. It was like, which one of these is a factor that predisposes you to heart disease? And it was like smoking, living in Galway.
You're
I
joking
swear
me.
to God,
Oh my God.
hand on heart, living in Galway is one of them. It was so unserious.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was so unserious. And I remember you pay like big money for this course.
Serious?
I swear to God,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
So you pay money for this course. Now they give you access to all these modules, and I remember looking at them recently, and I was like, oh my God, this is all wrong. But anyway, they send you out this like booklet. It's not even like a hardback copy or anything like that. It's literally put together with staples. And there was a section in the book, and now bear in mind, it's like someone printed it on PDF,
Right,
Word, or
yeah.
Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
So like one text is starting like here, and then another is here, and it's all over the place. And there was one section in the book that said, so apparently women have 4 body types: square, circle, pear, and like upside down triangle. And they were like, according to this body type shape, they should be training in different ways. So this one should train with 10 to 15 reps. This one should train with this reps. And it's like, that's just completely made up. It's like, you don't even know where you get that information from to make it up such a lie.
Is that a technical term? Triangle
No,
body shape?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, you can't just,
What?
Oh, it's crazy.
Oh
it's
God.
crazy.
Well, at least you have the certificate.
Is it worth anything? Like,
By the sounds of it, no.
yeah. But at the same time, it actually makes me kind of fearful that people don't have like just that as their certificate, and they're coaching people.
Jesus.
Because the level of personal training, you know, there's a lot of like disregard in, like, you know, especially one-to-one personal training in terms of like the exercise people give people, and they sort of just kind of paint it with their own brush and what they enjoy themselves, and then they just end up giving, like, you know, a mom of 50 years old these crazy, like, you know, exercises that they saw online or something like that, and it's really dangerous. You know, it's like, it's not catering to the client, it's not understanding what they need.
But look, man, go from this conversation tonight, you seem to have it all and very well figured out, I have to say, and you definitely have.
Well, I'm still figuring it out, I suppose.
Yeah, but no, it's like, you know, it sounds very easy for anybody who wants to kind of come and contact you, and you know, it doesn't sound scary for anyone, I think, Stan. So well done to you. I think we are, because we are coming up to the end.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say, how can people get in touch?
Yeah, so
and give your Instagram handle and stuff like that.
Yeah, so my Instagram is KeenCFit. I run the program called My Performance Coaching. So my performance is basically, it's not just about performing in the gym, it's about performing in all aspects of your life.
Yeah.
So that kind of inspired the name around it. So yeah, KeenCFit, My Performance Coaching. Have my own podcast as well, the My Performance Coaching podcast. A couple of episodes in now, so
how are you finding that?
Oh, it's just myself now at the moment. So I haven't. I've had one guest on, but yeah, it's more just kind of myself, just you know, talking again like this. Like, I find Instagram is great, but like, you can only go into so much detail.
Yeah.
So I
this
think,
is a bit long, kind of longer than
100%.
Yeah.
I was born to yap.
Yeah,
like
but it's great, man. I could honestly, it could go on for hours.
Good.
Yeah, no, it is really good. Very easy to talk to, and talking about all the things that are very. You've I have a lot to think about.
I'm glad I inspired.
Yeah, because I go to the gym quite a lot as well. But there's other bits that is like, I never really did that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
there's so much to it, as you said.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you just start off in your journey, and you realize that there's a lot more than it
there
meets
is.
the eye. You know.
Yeah, and as you said, to inspire people to kind of get in touch and don't be afraid to open up is
100%.
such a positive thing that I'm all for, because it definitely more things in life needs, it has to be like that.
Absolutely.
Especially for I think men are terrible at doing it. So
Absolutely.
the more outlets in life that will help people do that and it can benefit them is always a good thing,
And that's the mission, make men be in control with their health and fitness, because knowing where my own experience where I didn't have that as part of my life, that was in control, I know the difficulties that comes with it. So that's kind of my mission now, is just to give as many men that freedom and with their own health and fitness as they can.
So look, well, you're heading to Australia. Well, next week.
Australia, it was short notice to come on the podcast. So we got it done quickly.
I want to wish you the best. Would you want to come back and maybe in a year we can see?
I'll be there.
I'd say
we can do it. We can do it online.
We can do it online.
Do it online, yeah.
Do it online, or see if you do ever come back.
Work
to
from my laptop,
Ireland.
remember?
We'll see how we go. But look, Cian, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
And what a great chat, man. Really enjoyed
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Cian Cunningham, everybody.
Thank you.
Cheers, brother.
From that day we share cafe lattes. Ooh, cafe.